researchers and everybody else that's doing any kind of medical work, because it's really a wonderful thing. You actually are some of my favorite people, ranked only behind lawyers, Enron officials, National Basketball Association players, excuse me. Well, you know, my wife Lynn and I have been friends with Sue and Fran Byrnes for probably 50 years, and that's probably going to change in the next 2 minutes. I know we were here, Sue, but there are a couple other people that I'd like to mention. I could go on for a long time about Susan Milligan, but I won't, Susan. You're spared for one night. And the reason I didn't come to your retirement was because I was busy doing something else. I had to go into a movie or something important like that. And Amy Smith, I did have to say one thing about Amy. I've known Amy. She was a student of mine, and Amy has this. She has a real problem. She was a pretty good musician. I was a band director, and she was a pretty good musician, but she was terribly uncoordinated. And you may not know this, but she actually fell at one point, got run over by a car. This is actually the truth. And, you know, it's funny now, but it was serious then. And she was at my house one day, walks out of the garage, falls flat on her face, and skinned her knee, skinned her nose, you know, and there was nothing to trip on. It's just, I don't know what the problem was. But the point of all this is she's actually taken a fall this time for something really good. So she's fallen for some guy and she's engaged. So congratulations. Well, okay, so we're here for Sue Byrnes. Sue, if you think that I came down here to say nice things about you, you were sadly mistaken. In fact, you probably did. Unless they asked me if I could do this, I thought, well, you know, when you do like a kind of a roast thing, it's always for people that you like and you're just kidding. So in this case, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it. You know, I don't know what you can say about someone who's admired and loved by everybody. I could just say one thing, that's not the person we're honoring today. You may not know all this information I'm about to give you, but some of you may know this. You know that Sue is the only person I ever knew that graduated from Marshall University. In fact, she may have been the only person that graduated. My recollection is that once you pay your $399 for a year's worth of work, you know, they give you a pair of shoes, new teeth, and you're ready to go. But this is West Virginia, you know. Sorry. In this case of political correctness, I should be more careful, but frankly, I don't care. I thought when I did this, I went online, but you know, most universities have a list of notable people, and I looked that up at Marshall, and guess what? There were no names. One of the things that Sue majored in flute, many of you know that, but she was the only flute student there. They had a lot of people majoring in banjo, accordion, rope and bucket, jug, Well, the funny thing is, Fran found out about this, and so he thought, hey, that's pretty good. I'm going to go to college and major in jug. So he signed up to be a jug major. But after he went to a couple classes and found out it was jug, not jugs. So then he went to Mount Union and majored in football, where they actually pay you to go to school like Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Florida. And one thing that I know that most of you don't know is the fact that Sue and Fran are actually related a little bit. Fran is a big admirer of that cultural icon, Jeff Foxworthy. So he listens to a lot of what Jeff has to say. You probably all heard the joke about why rednecks go to family reunions, you know, to find out where the chicks are. Well, Fran heard that, and he thought that was a great idea. So he finally went to Pittsburgh and went to one of these family reunions, and Sue was there. And that's actually how they met. Oh. So that's the reason that some of these things, like Andrea and Francis. Okay, so Sue and Fran have been, we have this group that the Lynn and I call supper club, the Sue calls it dinner club. It seems to be the same organization, and I never quite figured that out. But we go to, people's houses, we go to restaurants, and so every time we go to Sue and Fran's house, Sue cooks, which is, so-so, but when they come to other people's houses, Sue always brings a salad. She thinks it's because we like her salad so much. The truth is, it's the only thing she can fix and not screw up. I mean, you've never eaten. When we go to their house and they have pizza and she says, Fran, it's time to cut the pizza, and he comes up the stairs with a chainsaw, you know you're in trouble. So, anyhow, most of you think of Sue as compassionate, driven, unrelenting, or you could think of her as narrow-minded, stubborn, and bullheaded. I'm not sure, kind of the same thing. So, anyhow, I just wanted to say, Sue, actually, I think a lot of you, some of this actually isn't true. Some of it is. So, congratulations, and we hope you have a great week.
Sue Byrnes' son. When I was asked if I would come up and speak, I was reluctant at first. I'm not much of a public speaker. When I was alerted that this was going to be somewhat of a roast, I signed on immediately. I had been Sue Byrnes' son for about 36 years. There have been plenty of moments. I come from a very athletic family, and then of course there's Mom. One winter we decided to try to get her on a pair of skis in hopes that someday we can take some future family vacations for some fun. Needless to say, after clinging to our mailbox for dear life in the front of our yard, we decided that the ski lodge would be the best place for my mother. Those of you that have worked with my mother know that sometimes it's hard to get things across to her. Like for instance, when I was about 4 years old, I was swimming with my mother in my grandmother's pool. My mother was carrying me in her arms and slowly moving towards the deep end. I tried to warn my mom, but she didn't want to have anything to do with what I was saying. As soon as we crossed under the rope separating the two ends of the pool, down she went, letting go of me at the same time. I, of course, swam to the edge of the pool, thanks to the swim lessons that they made me take. And someone had to jump in and save my mom. Mom maybe should listen after the third or fourth time. Everyone also knows that my mother realizes that she is constantly busy and trying to do 10 things at once. Well, one time while heading out to San Diego for an ATS convention a few years ago, my mother decided to buy a Waldorf salad to eat on the plane. While probably trying to do 10 things and eat at the same time, she ended up choking on a piece of apple in her salad. I guess she just didn't have time to chew at that moment. Lucky for her, the plane was full of doctors going to the convention. Mom, I know you're busy, but please chew your food. Finally, Sue Byrnes decided one day to dedicate her time and energy to all of you that need her. She has set the example for all of us. But what more can I say? She has been my mother for 36 years. So thank you, Mom, for being you. We are all blessed to have you in our lives.
Well, I actually was going to say that of the 2 people in the world I would ever do this for, 2 are on the stage. We have since changed that to 1. Because I will not speak to him anymore. 10 list of reasons why we're glad she's there. And when you look around here, number 8 is, it's a pretty big gig. So I loved her for that. Let's see, a control freak. I say that with love. But as a control freak, as she was the director in her house, we never had to do our own dishes, and that was always great. And again, as we were in her house, wearing jeans to work, sorry Leslie, it was a huge perk. I loved her for that. The other reason we love her as a director is because when she would send emails at 2 o'clock in the morning, we could ask her to her face exactly what the color maureen was. Single wall. Told the construction workers where to build the wall because that's how much space she had for furniture. And it's a gorgeous office and it's all because of her. Like Frances said, she has created the mold and set the example for where the foundation needs to go. Because she's advanced and researched where it is today, and we're all thankful for that. And the number one reason why I personally loved her as a director is, and this is like a little sappy, but because everyone in this room, I think, should experience what it's like to work with a legend and a personal hero. But this is the good stuff. Number 9, there was always that guilt when I would leave at 7 or 8 at night, knowing that she was going to be up for 6 or 7 more hours. We're glad she needed to cut down the workload from 20 hours a day to 19. She's really, that extra hour has really worked for her. And I didn't know that Mr. Reynolds was going to mention this, but I think one of the reasons I'm glad she stepped down is because, I don't know if there's a correlation here, but as soon as she did, I seemed to find a life and a fiance. And Amanda, we're all glad. Number 4, the 4th reason we're glad she stepped down is now we don't have to hear every single day of how much weight she needs to lose. Here. Oh, please, 5 pounds. If she had to step down, the reason number 3 we're glad she did is because she was able to pick somebody like Leslie who was so dedicated and who has really taken a lot these first 6 months. And it's been a really rough time, and she picked a good one. I kind of joke with everybody that it's like going from Little House on the Prairie to Sex in the City. Without him saying, well, my mom can fire you. And the number 1 reason that I am glad she stepped down finally, and yes, Mary Stojic, I am going to say it again, is so that I can say to her at 10 o'clock at night, when something is not exactly perfect on the opposing weekend, you're not the boss of me.